All right, so what's going on, y'all? Obviously we're gonna be reacting to obviously this is the Madam Web plot and stuff. So obviously this is the Madam Web plot and stuff. I want to react to it because apparently apparently, you know, comic book cast posts this, and you know, I want to react to some comic book cast stuff, and after I've already went over some Marvel Spider-Man 2 stuff as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and get it.
Love it or hate it, Sony is committing to their Spider-Man, less for now, Spider-Man universe of Marvel characters, or whatever it's called. They are currently shooting Kraven the Hunter, but without knowing whether that's going to be successful or not, they are just going to go ahead and start working on the upcoming Madam Web, which they hope is another big chapter for Spider-Man, possibly. Well,
you guys have no idea. Madam Web, hands down, is one of the best characters in the Spider-Verse. I'm going to tell you this now.
Yeah, let's just talk about this plot. Alright guys, so this is our first details in relation to anything that has to do with the upcoming Madam Web film, and what we can expect and how it connects to Spider-Man. So this comes courtesy of a brand new recent casting with a addition to Madam Web, and Sony officially shared a description to Variety and Deadline of—
oh my gosh, they have to do the Web of Realities. Actually, they don't have to if they don't want to, because the thing is, in No Way Home, Peter's spider sense tapped into the Web of Realities, so obviously that has something to do with Madam Web being there. If Madam Web was in the movie, because there is like a little like freaking, you know, that fight, oh, you know, where like all of the fucking, I don't know what to call it, but like all of the universes are coming together just to come together for those of everybody that knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Madam Web is one of them. If Madam Web is one of them, that's proof right there that he was about to come in there.
what exactly Madam Web is. And the description says, and I
Madam
quote,
Web's meant to be in the church. She's like a mutant
will
that's
be
psychic,
an
but not
origin
everybody.
story of the clairvoyant Madam Web.
Let's go.
Whose psychic abilities allow her to see within the spider world.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory.
But wouldn't that mean that she would also have connect? Now I'm thinking about it. No, wait, never mind. She wouldn't have a connection to Venom. That means she would have contact with every single Peter Parker. And every single. Okay, I get it now. Okay.
So
I totally forgot about our powers for a second.
We are getting in.
By the way, y'all have to excuse me. It's literally early in the morning, so I'm not there right now. Like my spider sense is not all the way there.
In fact, a young Madam Web.
Oh, okay, so we're getting Cassandra Webb.
Some people that are saying we're probably going to get both because, again, different Madam Webs. That kind of makes sense. Maybe a younger and an older, maybe a Madam Web and a Spider Woman or something.
Ooh, that would mean, okay, that would be smart because that would mean that the older Madam Web could transfer her powers over to the younger one. And for those guys who don't know who the younger Madam Web is, if you guys haven't seen Ultimate Spider-Man, that would be great.
Some combo of,
because some of these Madam Webs, they can fight, bro.
that sort, maybe even Spider-Gwen. We don't really know officially yet. But the interesting factor here is that obviously she has the psychic abilities that allow her to see into the spider world, and they've also teased that this character is going to connect the entire Spider-Verse. To me personally, this seems like this is definitely going to be the 100%. Film where we find out who the Spider-Man of the Sony universe is, whether it's Tom Holland, whether it's somehow going to...
It can't be Tom Holland. Here's the thing. If it is going to be Tom Holland, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly. But then again, if it's supposed to connect the whole entire Spider-Verse, that means that she can, because the thing is, Madam Web is meant to be a Sony character right now. But that would mean that if she's meant to be a Sony character, there would be the same thing with Doctor Strange, but instead it would be in the Sony universe. If she's supposed to connect all of, like I said, like he said, all of the Spider-Verse is supposed to be connected. She's literally the only one that can actually see into other universes, like other universes where there is a Spider-Man. But here's the thing. We have a Sony universe without a Peter Parker, or just in general a Spider-Man. So my guess is that the Sony Spider-Man with who I think and this is what I'm pretty much thinking. Andrew quit being Spider-Man. Andrew took a break from being Spider-Man, right? So what if in the Sony universe, it's actually Miles in live action?
End up being Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire, which I don't think either personally wants to come back in this train wreck that has 2 Venom films of varying quality and Morbius in it. Who knows what Craven's going to be, so maybe it's going to be a new actor, because they're playing very careful with how they word this, because again, within the Spider world, okay? What Spider world, right? Like, they're being very deliberate to not say anything more. And I find that very interesting and also concerning, but again, it's Sony, we should all be concerned. And this is one of those things where I think Sony's really just taking their time, because I personally don't think they know who their Spider-Man is or how this is all going to connect. And before people say, well, of course you think that, you just hate Sony. Okay, let's just look at Morbius. There's your proof that they don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. That last minute cutscene with the Vulture didn't make sense. It made sense to me because I was like, oh shit, this is the Vulture suit from TASM 2. How the fuck does Morbius know about Spider? I can understand how he knows about Spider-Man. It's like, why would he want to fight Spider-Man if he hasn't done anything bad to him whatsoever? So it would be like, huh? Alright, there's also another one that I wanted to react to, so we're gonna actually react to another one. There's also another one, so let's see. We got New Daredevil. There's at least some spoilers. Yeah, let's do the chairman.
Sony continues to make the rounds talking about the future of the Spider-Man brand and IP. The latest updates have been more in line with what we can expect from more Spider-Man in terms of the MCU continuity, but there's also an update on all the various projects that Sony has in development that are Spider-Man based, but without Spider-Man or whatever they're doing now.
I mean, they are going to be Spider-Man based on Spider-Man.
Multiple new films that have yet to be announced that are coming at us.
Ooh, I just thought about this. You know what Sony should make? They should make a Wolf Spider movie. They should make a Wolf Spider movie. That would be so good. That would be so fire. That would be heat. Think about it. If you guys haven't watched Ultimate Spider-Man, they should make a Wolf Spider movie, because in that specific continuity, the name Peter Parker in Wolf Spider universe strikes fear into everybody's hearts, bro. If they somehow manage to do that, I would not be surprised. Like, the Wolf Spider could lead the Sinister Six. He could. That would be perfect. All I gotta tell you is that would be perfect.
So again, this comes directly from the Sony chairman, Tom Rothman, who of course previously had a major play in everything Fox was doing with the X-Men franchise. Now that he's been overseeing everything that Sony's doing, we can see a similar pattern, to say the least. At one point, he was over at Fox, kind of announcing all sorts of projects that would never really see the light of day and putting them into development. You know, from random spin-off films that they were trying to develop very early on, like, remember when they were working on Wraith? Remember Wraith? Played by will.i.am? Yeah, I remember his name. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. Anyways, thank Tom Rothman for that. So recently, speaking to multiple outlets, Rothman was talking about the future of Spider-Man, and he hyped up all the content that's coming related to Spider-Man. Spider-Man 4, the Spider-Verse films, and everything. Yeah. And then they kind of got into...
For those that you don't know, Spider-Man 4 is literally going to be in the MCU, because they have Tom's other trilogy already in the works.
Talking about the adjacent universe again. And he talks about how much they have in development, specifically with the stuff we know. He mentions Kraven the Hunter, which is shooting, Madam Web, which is going to shoot very soon.
Which I'm excited about.
And he mentions that
Madam Web is one of my favorite characters.
Multiple new characters that we haven't heard of in trades or anything. So this would be like El Muerto, for example. We've heard about him. He doesn't count. This would be brand new characters and films that are in development that we have not heard anything about, that are still being secretive and no outlet has reported on them. Now, again, we don't know what any of these are. We've heard plenty of rumors. Standalone Rhino and Sandman films. We know that a standalone Mysterio film was in development for a while.
Now that's the one that I'm confused on. I don't think Rhino deserves a movie. I don't think he deserves. I don't think he deserves a movie at all. To me, like, yeah, like a lot of like villains that he has fought at your disposal, so it wouldn't make it. I can see what they're doing, but like the interesting villains only count like the good villains with an actual backstory. Like Kraven's backstory is good. I love Kraven's backstory.
Night Horse, probably Jackpot. I'm honestly kind of surprised that Jackpot's taken so long. The long-rumored Spider-Woman film seems to be one of these, but we just don't know what's happening with that.
Probably Jessica
Obviously,
Drew.
they announced Olivia Wilde would be directing it, and then nothing happened. Like, it's been silent. So whatever happened with that, I guess we're going to find out soonish. But overall, it's sounding like Sony has a whole lot of stuff to offer for their universe. But
hey, yo, make sure you guys like the stream.
Still no Spider-Man, so I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what they announce. But from the handful of projects they have in development and the handful that they teased, looks like Sony has about 5 unannounced projects in development, which is crazy, but hey, here we are.
All right, let's go on to the next one. Hold on.
Welcome back to News for the
I'm sorry, Chet, that theme
comics,
will never
movies,
ever
games,
get
and
old.
more, and to another amazing Marvel Spider-Man 2 video. My name is Ronnie, and tonight we're going to talk about how the black suit can affect Peter Parker in Marvel Spider-Man 2. First off, I would like to acknowledge and thank Brian Wilcox for his idea.
And here's the thing, the black suit, for those who don't know, the black suit literally affects his personality. It makes his ego go up. It makes him think a lot more darker thoughts. It amplifies the anger. It amplifies whatever he's feeling to a goddamn fucking. It's just insane how much this it's insane how much the black suit changes personality. It's hella insane. But having it on Harry, though, is a whole different story.
Commented on one of my earlier Marvel Spider-Man 2 videos. Brian Wilcox asks, could you maybe do a video of how the black suit could change Peter and maybe he would swing in a different animation? That's a great question, Brian, and a great idea for a video as well. Before we continue on with the video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so y'all don't miss anything. I post videos on a daily basis, mostly Marvel Spider-Man 2 related videos, so if those kinds of videos are for you, then definitely hit that subscribe button at the very least. I'm only one subscriber away from 9,000 subs. Come on, let's reach over 9,000. It definitely helps the channel. Follow me on social media, such as my Twitter and Instagram. Links to those are in the description box below, along with the invitation link to my Discord. I definitely want to see you there engaging with the astonished audience. Join us and bring pizza because every day is pizza time on my Discord. Without further ado, let's get into this. The Black Suit, one of the most overdone and most popular stories in Marvel history.
Yep.
You've seen it. You've seen it in the...
I just noticed this too. They need to make a PS5 for this game because they're obviously gonna make a combo for this game. That's gonna be automatic. But what if they just make like a PS5 with the white spider logo and they make it all black with the white spider logo for the fact that we're fighting Venom, bro? And the spider, this is gonna sound weird, but that would be the cleanest thing that Insomniac has ever done.
Comics, the animated series, the games,
Yep.
and even the movies.
Yeah.
Your parents most likely know the story. Hell, even your grandparents know the origins of the Black Suit. Just look at that old fart. His face says it all, just exuding confidence. Well, what if I were to tell you we will see it again? What if we were to see the return of Bully Maguire? Hell, what if I wanted to be Bully Astonish?
Impressive.
Showtime.
You know, as cool as this game is, nah.
Alright, on a serious note, I think Insomniac Games is going to treat the Black Suit storyline with proper care.
100%.
Maybe a little reference or even an Easter egg of the Bully Maguire meme everyone
yeah.
desperately wants in Marvel Spider-Man 2 would probably pop up. Sadly, I don't think we will see Bully Maguire in this game. So,
We'll see
we all
probably
know what
Bully
effects the
Lowenthal,
Black
though.
Suit has on
Bully
Parker,
Lowenthal.
and the general agreement is that the Black Suit tends to give Peter more violent tendencies,
Yep.
aggressive behavior, a boost in confidence, being quite the loner, and overall mistreating his friends and loved ones.
I would love to see that. Like, I would love to see that. Think about that. Like, think about like the scene with MJ from Spider-Man 3. They have to incorporate that somehow, but instead of it being MJ, what if it's just like some, you know, random... No, wait, never mind. It could be MJ, but then again, people have already said that MJ's on her way back from Symkaria. So that wouldn't make any sense, because that's a leak. She's on her way back from Symkaria, so we literally will not have any MJ missions. Like, we would not have any MJ missions. We would be going around everywhere just with the black suit on. That'd be crazy.
Which leads me to believe that at some point, Peter will eventually hit a low point in the game where he briefly becomes an antagonist, and it's up to
I thought about going too. What if say like if Peter is like, say like if Peter is just like chilling, right, and he amplifies all his anger for, you know, everything else, like, you know, what if they have a reference to, you know, Uncle Ben? What if they have like a reference to Uncle Ben or something like that? Or, you know, what if they magically somehow in some way figure out, or if Insomniac adds, you know, Uncle Ben's killer to the game, right? That would really amplify his anger to the point where, you know, he would literally have no choice but to wear the black suit, and the black suit somehow gets onto him, right? They have to add a reference to Spider-Man 3. They have to. 100% they have to.
Miles Morales to stop him.
Yep.
So, how does this affect Peter and everyone around him? Without getting into too much detail about his powers and swinging abilities, because I sort of covered that already in previous videos, no doubt he will be faster and stronger. We can start with J. Jonah Jameson. JJ gets word that Spider-Man has been acting strange lately, confirming Jameson's theories, or so he thinks, because he's always coming up with theories about Spider-Man and talking about how he's a menace to society. Jameson can totally use this plot to boost listener count on his podcast. He may even write a new book called I Was Right About Spider-Man All Along, or something along the lines. Overall, I'm sure Jameson's reaction to the new Spider-Man is going to be hilarious, and I'm certain while Peter donning the black suit and constantly hearing Jameson bad-mouthing him, it may cause Spider-Man to react and even go after Jameson. Who knows, but I definitely want to see that unfold. Which leads to the people of New York City. I'm sure Jameson's outlandish conspiracies of Spider-Man will hit the streets of New York at some point. People will notice that Spider-Man has been acting strange lately, causing the people of New York to ostracize him. Without a doubt, people will boo him off the streets, maybe even attack Spider-Man if they see him in the streets, causing to get a bad reaction out of Spider-Man, no doubt. Next thing you know, Spider-Man is attacking citizens, which I'm sure to Jameson, it'll be like hitting the lottery. Could you imagine Spider-Man picking fights with random citizens on the streets because they don't agree with his newfound brutal methods? Something to think about. Up next is Mary Jane. MJ is currently Peter Parker's girlfriend once again. You know, I think this may end up being a learning experience for both Peter and MJ once the black suit situation is resolved. While I do believe Peter donning the black suit will affect...
On top of that, Peter wouldn't actually think that, you know, the black suit... Peter, after he takes the black suit off, he would probably think, oh gosh, what have I done? They'd be like, what have I done? They would be like, oh my gosh, hold up. Now I actually have to really think about what I did. Because the thing is, if they put in the Bell scene or whatever, or obviously they're going to have to add probably, because the thing is, thinking about it, in the game, when Peter wants that black suit off, when he comes to his senses while he's in the black suit, there's only two ways he can get that black suit off. There's only two ways he can get that thing off. There is noise, and after that, there is electricity. 9 times out of 10, he would probably need Miles, or he would probably need a combination of both. Or fire. I totally forgot that fire was also one too. But the thing is, there's no way that they're going to use fire because we don't want to see our boy Peter burned alive.
The relationship to an extent, it won't necessarily end it. MJ, at least this version of the character, is really intuitive. She may be able to figure out what's going on without jumping the gun and calling the relationship off. Mary Jane simply cares way too much about Peter Parker that she's simply not going to let Peter go and possibly hurt himself. No matter what happens, she's always going to be by Peter's side. And then there's Miles Morales, the one and true believer of Spider-Man, the one who's learned from the OG, the best there is. Could you only imagine how heartbreaking it will probably be if Miles Morales caught Peter acting irrational and using brutal methods to get his...
He would be questioning that too. My boy Miles would be questioning that too. He would be like, just imagine a scene with the black suit on. He would be like, what is going on? Why are you doing this? Because the thing is, like, keep in mind, Miles learned from Peter in this game. So I would be like, why are you using brutal methods? We don't use brutal methods. That doesn't make any sense. And you just hear, you know, Peter just going off on Miles for no reason, like saying like, what, are you questioning me? Like, saying some questionable stuff, right? That would be
the
an
way I
amazing
see it,
scene.
Miles Morales could be the only one to get through Peter's head. Miles could simply remind Peter of the oath he took before he went flying solo. He could be the one to remind Peter
Morales.
that with great power, there must also come great responsibility.
Yep.
What's this? Christmas present. But first...
Ooh, I saw that too. What if they're bringing up the Christmas present? What if he brings up the Christmas present, right? What if he brings up the Christmas present? And on top of that, not to mention that, not to mention, what if he brings up the oath while Peter is being taken over by the symbiote? That would be an amazing, I can tell you right now, chat, that would be an amazing scene right there in the middle of the boss fight. Because at some point, we're going to have to fight Peter with the black suit on, and that's going to be... Oy.
You gotta take the oath.
Oh. Okay.
I promise to do everything in my power to protect this city.
I promise.
That's it?
That oath a real thing?
Totally. Definitely didn't just make it up.
Definitely didn't just make it up.
See you in a few weeks, Spider-Man. New York's only Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
I think Miles is the answer to Peter's freedom of the black suit. Plus, I believe while this is in fact a Peter Parker story, it's probably going to take two Spider-Men to really get to the bottom of this. One of the best aspects of a great Spider-Man story are the strong supporting characters in them. At its core, Spider-Man isn't Spider-Man without his loved ones. He needs the support, care, and love to get through these trials and tribulations. I guess that's what makes Spider-Man, Spider-Man. Everyone needs help sometimes, even Spider-Man. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click on the bell notification so you all don't miss videos like this, and I will see you all in the next comic panel.
Alright, so now we're going to try to see about Harry Osborn. We're going to see about Harry Osborn. I still can't believe this almost happened. For the fact that Spider-Man PS4 was almost a Xbox exclusive, that would have been crazy. So think about it. We could have had Miles Morales on Xbox. We could have had Miles Morales on Xbox. We could have had Spider-Man PS4 on Xbox. We could have had Marvel Spider-Man 2 on Xbox. But hey, it's good they won on PlayStation. I'm gonna be honest. Alright, let's go ahead and get on to the bottom of Harry and stuff like that. Every leak and rumor. Okay. Alright, so we already figured that out because of the fact that it was just there. We gotta look up Harry Osborn. We're gonna see how important he is to the story because, like, Harry is literally a vital and very good part of Spider-Man's story. Ooh, we gotta take a look at the map size. Okay, we could probably do this one. But the thing is, I want to hear about Harry. I want to hear about my boy Harry. Harry Osborn isn't Venom. He has to be Venom because they're going down the ultimate. They're going down the Ultimate Spider-Man, aka Ultimate Comic route, bro. They gotta have him in the game. Actually, hold on a second, chat. I think I know what to do. Actually, no. My bad, y'all. Let's take a look at this video by Evan. Let's take a look at my boy Evan.
I know I don't say this enough, but thank you, Dad. You know, for doing this. I love you.
Wow. Haven't heard Harry's voice in so long. He sounds so tired.
Sorry, Harry, I know you're sick and all, but we gotta get to the bottom of this right now. Anyways, welcome back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another really exciting Spider-Man PS4 related video. And given the topic of this video, we are indeed going to be discussing the overall fate of Harry Osborn after the main events of Spider-Man PS4, as well as why he is such an important character that will be prominently featured within the inevitable sequel. And even though we obviously don't have any confirmation of a sequel in development as of right now, it is very much clear that if one were...
Well, I mean, it is confirmed right now. So this video, as you guys can tell, this video was probably posted like 3 years ago, so...
to be made, Harry and Norman are going to be featured at the forefront as the main antagonists of that game.
Right.
But between the father and the son, Harry is definitely the most important of the two, given his past relationships with both Mary Jane and Peter, and seeing how his character will most definitely be developed even further within the future of this franchise. But don't worry everyone, we are going to break down everything important relating to Harry Osborn, starting off with his past history with Peter Parker in the main game of Spider-Man PS4.
Right.
So as we were told during the entirety of the game's marketing,
because the thing is, for a fact, like, I know for a fact that there is a lot of stuff regarding Harry, Peter, and MJ, because at some point in the game, they were friends, right? They still are friends, but the thing is, what if Peter doesn't see Harry like this anymore? Like, what if Harry doesn't see Peter like this anymore? That would be insane. That would be crazy, because the thing is, seeing as that Harry's been away this long, that would pretty much have an effect on him. And he would be like, what the heck, Harry, you're here? That would mean that they would have a lot to catch up on, right? But say, like, if the Venom symbiote comes out, or if, you know, I don't know, where Harry reveals that he's Venom, right? He would be really, really confused. Peter would be really, really confused, and he would be like, I know that you're Spider-Man. And after that, he would probably be having a lot of doubts or something like that. He would be like, wait, you're Spider-Man the whole entire time? What? And after that, Venom would probably take over and be like, okay, cool, so you're Spider-Man. Or they could do like a, beat the symbiote, and after that, Eddie Brock has, and after that, they go through like a whole entire other thing.
Harry was off in Europe doing some business for Oscorp overseas. And
which sounds like massive cap.
While Harry was supposedly overseas, quote-unquote, handling business for Oscorp, Peter was actually requested by Harry to handle all of the research stations scattered around New York.
Exactly.
And as Peter completed each of these Oscorp research stations as Spider-Man, it not only made sure that Oscorp would continue to thrive in the city, but it also reassured Harry that his mother's work was being honored in the past research that she was doing. And
right.
Given how these research stations were one way to help Harry expand his mother's legacy, as well as making sure that he could add his own improvements to the company, it really reassured Harry and Peter's bond with each other. And even though Harry isn't aware that Peter was looking at the research stations, it still made Peter feel better knowing that he was helping out his friend during the main narrative of the game. And speaking of the game's main narrative, if you do look at it from a certain perspective, Harry is the main central focus out of the entirety of Spider-Man PS4's story. Even though we only get to interact with Harry in a few short moments during the game's story through the research stations, as well as seeing him in the last post-credit scene, the main factor that relates Harry to us is through Devil's Breath. As we know in the main game, Dr. Morgan Michaels and a few other select Oscorp scientists help manufacture this formula of GR.
And the thing is, sort of fact, like with Devil's Breath, he used that exact thing. Norman used that exact thing to heal Harry, because the thing is, remember, it's said to have a healing factor. It's said to be turned into a cure. So basically Norman was using that to cure, but the thing is, it didn't work. GR27 failed, but GR28, I have a feeling that it's going to be a huge play in Marvel Spider-Man 2, obviously. That has to be put in play, because the thing is, Norman let Harry out way too early.
27, also known as Devil's Breath, which was originally supposed to be a cure for certain diseases. However, as we see in the game, the GR27 formula remained in its unstable Devil's Breath form, causing millions of New Yorkers to die from its extremely deadly effects. And as we see during the main game, Martin Lee and Otto Octavius, both as Mr. Negative and Dr. Octopus, wanted to release the Devil's Breath in order to get payback on Norman for treating them so horribly. Not only did this end up killing lots of New Yorkers in the process, but it also ended up taking our one and only Aunt May's life. And seeing how Devil's Breath was originally supposed to be a cure for both Emily and Harry Osborn, but it didn't turn out to be the cure that they hoped it would be, it caused even more havoc throughout the entirety of New York City. And that just shows even further that the main weapon of destruction that was used during the third act of Spider-Man PS4's story was mainly supposed to be a cure to save Harry Osborn's life, given how Emily was...
I saw that too. That would be a great play. That would be a great idea too. That would be a great idea too. To have like a flashback from the main game with GR27, right? And make GR27 and immediately just say, this was at Oscorp. Oscorp made it, which would mean that Norman would, be under fire for that. And Harry would be like, what's going on? GR27, I used that to cure you. And after that, he's going to probably have to tell, or Norman at some point is going to have to tell Harry that he used GR27 to cure him. Or use it on him to try and get him cured. And that would be like a perfect opportunity for, Harry and Norman to somehow in some way bond, right? But then again, Peter also knows about GR27, so how would that play a factor if he knows about GR27 too? That would be a good thing. That would be so good. That would be such an amazing way for, for them to talk about that. That would be crazy.
was already dead at that point. So no matter what the end results ended up being for Devil's Breath, it still tried to be a cure to save Harry Osborn. And this now leads us to where we can expect Harry to end up in the sequel to Spider-Man PS4. So besides learning a bit more about Peter and Harry's relationship in this game's universe through the research stations, it also expands it a bit further if you did read the prequel novel to Marvel's Spider-Man of Hostile Takeover. In the book itself, there are some pretty interesting scenes featuring both Peter and Harry, and if you read certain chapters, including both of them, you will understand how much of a deep
Which I'm gonna be honest, I did not read this at all. I did not read this at all, but I understood, because like I said, we were playing the video game. I can understand where it was coming from.
Relationship they do have with each other. Not only were Peter, MJ, and Harry all extremely close with each other as childhood friends, but the older they got, the closer they became with each other. Although sadly, when Peter and MJ started to become more busy,
so that would mean that if they became closer and stuff like that, that would mean that Peter, or at least Harry with the Venom symbiote or something like that. Because the thing is, for a fact, like I already have a feeling that Norman does not like Spider-Man already. So what if, you know, at some point, Harry doesn't like Spider-Man? And after that, you have Peter and Harry having like that weird conversation with each other, right? And they'd be like, okay, and after that, Peter just says, oh my gosh, dude, I'm Spider-Man, I'm Spider-Man, I'm Spider-Man, I'm Spider-Man. I have pretty much been Spider-Man ever since I was like 15 years old, which I'm pretty sure that he has, because he's like 25 at this point, 25, 26. So he probably doesn't know. MJ's the only one that knows. Harry doesn't know. So if Peter upright tells, you know, Harry that he's Spider-Man, that could force like a wedge between, you know, him with the symbiote on and Peter being Spider-Man, and the symbiote would probably end up having to fight him if I say Peter Parker is Spider-Man or something. Or they could do a reverse where Peter has a symbiote, but in this case, you know, it goes down the exact same road where he has to fight Harry. And after that, Peter realizes that, oh gosh, the symbiote's causing way too much comments, which is causing anger, is causing me to go crazy, and it's boosting his ego. It's boosting his ego through the roof to the point where he has to get rid of it.
Busy with their own respective jobs, they started to distance themselves a little bit from Harry since they were so occupied with their own day-to-day lives. However, given how MJ became more...
And on top of that, to mention a second game, putting Harry back in the game would be a little bit weird because... obviously that would spice things up because we've been waiting to see Harry Osborn for a long time. But that would mean that there would be, like Evan said, there would be like a wedge between them. So that would mean that, you know, Peter would feel a little bit off or a little bit weird about talking to Harry as his best friend again.
More and more occupied at the Daily Bugle, Peter decided to visit Harry a bit more often just to vent his relationship problems to Harry since he was one of his closest friends. And given what great chemistry Peter and MJ already have with each other in the main game, I really hope that Insomniac can up the ante when it comes to Harry and Peter interacting with each other in the potential sequel. But as to where we stand with Harry's status in Spider-Man PS4 as of right now, he is currently incubating within that secret chamber in Norman's penthouse surrounded by what looks like a symbiotic substance. And seeing how the Devil's Breath formula was a complete failure in terms of curing Harry or Emily, it seems like this black substance is the only thing that's left keeping him alive. But given Harry's current state regarding his health, as well as Norman's drive to find Harry a cure, I do think this specific scenario may happen within the potential sequel to Spider-Man PS4. And even though this is all hypothetical, I do think one possible theory that could happen...
That's another thing I want to talk about too, if it's coming to cross-gen.
...happen in the inevitable sequel is that Norman will eventually find some type of curing substance that he will believe will work on Harry. Although, since Norman may not want to put Harry in danger even further, he may not want to risk using the substance on Harry without knowing its full effects. And in doing so, I believe that Norman will eventually use this curing substance on himself as a test drive, which...
And he would become the Goblin. I like where this is going. He would become the Goblin. The thing is, Norman would use that, he would use literally his own body as a test. He would use himself as the test, and he would become the Goblin.
Will eventually turn him into the Green Goblin by accident. And seeing how they're...
But for Goblin, they need to make, now for the Goblin, I have a feeling that they are going to have to, because the thing is for a fact, they're going to have to figure out a way to have, I don't know who actually is going to be playing Norman, I don't, but, for the third game, obviously we're gonna have a feeling that we're gonna need a post-credit scene of Norman becoming the Goblin slowly. But obviously the Goblin has like some sort of super. Obviously with the serum, he's obviously gonna have some sort of super. He's gonna have like everything's gonna be amplified, super strength, everything. But what if instead of doing that, what if he becomes the ultimate Goblin? Like, what if he becomes like the monstrous Goblin? Hold on. I'm gonna show you guys this picture. What if he becomes this version of the Green Goblin? After taking that serum, what if he becomes the ultimate Goblin? Like, what if he becomes this version of the Goblin? This would be perfect. This would be perfect, because the thing is, I already have a feeling, and I'm pretty sure everybody else has this feeling. What if, you know, Norman already does not like Spider-Man? He would be the perfect, it would be perfect for us to end it off on. Him transforming into some version of the Green Goblin. Which would be fucking crazy, because like, this Goblin right here, the one that I'm showing you, well, it's not this version, but there's another version that looks exactly like him. In another universe, this is the Miles universe, by the way, he killed Peter. So what if we get, you know, so what if down the line we get, you know, I guess in the third one, or like in the second one, what if Harry has a symbiote on permanently or something along the sorts, and Norman figures out that Peter Parker's Spider-Man? That could be a very, 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 very bad, that could end up very bad for Peter, because that would mean that, you know, in the third one, they could possibly tease the death of Peter Parker, right? What if Insomniac went down that road? Insomniac, if you go down that road, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised, because that would be an insane way to, that would be an insane way for us to go into Marvel's Spider-Man 4. And the thing is that I like Peter Parker a lot too.
There's already major teases of pumpkin bombs, glider tech, and goblin masks scattered throughout Norman's apartment in that one mission of the game. I have no doubt that they are going to fully implement that within the potential sequel. And as for Harry, this is where the main component of the story comes in, which is of course Peter Parker himself, aka Spider-Man. And this will lead us into the main villains of the game, which is actually going to be Norman Osborn as Green Goblin, Harry Osborn as Venom, and eventually later on, black-suited Spider-Man. And even though I'm not sure how, I do believe that Harry will at some point break free out of his captured state, and the black substance surrounding him will fully envelop him, eventually turning him into a different version of Venom. Harry will then flee out of Norman's penthouse, which will then eventually run him into Peter Parker, swinging around.
Ooh, and on top of that, since Evan's mentioning that too, since he's going to be running out, the symbiote will obviously go to Peter first. And after that, it's going to go back to Harry, and Harry would end up learning that his best friend was Spider-Man, right? That would be so, like, think about all of his emotions. He would be like, Peter Parker was Spider-Man the whole time. My friend Peter was Spider-Man the whole time. Doesn't make any sense. And after that, the symbiote would start talking to him and start saying, we have much to show you. He's been Spider-Man ever since he was 15. Because think about it. The symbiote remembers everything that Peter has done. So the more longer that Peter wears it, it'll go back to his memories. And it'll be like, dang, he's been Spider-Man this long. And after that, it'll go back to Harry, which then will cause, you know, Harry to take over. It'll cause Harry to be mad at Peter, and then after that, he would go straight after Peter
as Spider-Man, and then have this awesome confrontation between him and Peter. And seeing how Insomniac is making Harry Venom instead of Eddie Brock, that's going to make the narrative aspects for this battle even more impactful.
This battle right here, they have to, oh my gosh, this battle is going to be crazy. Instead of having Eddie Brock, this is going to be like on a personal level. That's going to be crazy. That's going to be such a crazy battle. That's going to be an amazing ass fight.
Than I believe the Otto Octavius fight in the main game. Not only will this fight be a huge...
The Otto Octavius fight was It was a pretty good fight, not gonna lie, but it was
an impactful moment between Peter and Harry's friendship with each other, I also believe during the fight, the symbiotic substance will transfer from Harry onto Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And as we all know how the black suit story goes, Peter will first probably be in love with the new power.
Now, that would be an amazing way, because think about it. Peter, obviously, he's going to say Peter would be in love with that newfound power. The suit is going to feel so good to the point where he doesn't want to take it off.
Powers that he has, but then eventually realized how much more dangerous he has become with the black suit on him.
Right.
This may then lead Peter to go and fight the ones that he cares about the most, and also have Miles Morales come in as Spider-Man to take Peter down. So having the main focus of...
And that would be an amazing way. I forgot to tell you, that would be an amazing way if Miles were to fight Peter. That would be an amazing way to showcase, you know, the symbiote's weaknesses and stuff. That would be a great way to showcase one of the weaknesses at some point in the game. That would be a great way. Because, like I said, one of the symbiote's weaknesses is electricity. So Miles fighting Peter would, you know, automatically know what the weakness is. But he would be like, but the thing is, like, during that point, Peter would want to fight Miles for the fact that he doesn't want to take that thing off. Miles would be saying something like, I don't know what's gotten into you, but you need to take that suit off or something. And he would be like, I don't want to take it off. This feels so good. I feel powerful. He's like, he doesn't have the word web shooters. He has endless webs. He doesn't want to take it off. Like, it's literally so good to the point where he does not want to take it off.
Spider-Man PS4's sequel center around Harry, Peter, Norman, Miles, and Mary Jane, I do think that this story is going to be even better than what the first game already gave us. Marvel's Spider-Man already had some serious stakes, especially during the end of the game where Insomniac and Marvel actually decided to kill off Aunt May. And I can guarantee you all that making Harry the central focus of the sequel is going to be extremely interesting to see be played out. But anyways, guys, that's the video that I have for you today, and please let me know all your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think of my theories regarding the sequel to Spider-Man PS4, and do you think that Harry will be an extremely important character in the potential sequel?
He has to be a very important character. He's very, 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 very important to the Spider-Man lore. So that's all.
I did not expect that plot twist at all when I was beating Spider-Man PS4 my very first time, and seeing how Insomniac is actually going to make Harry Osborn their version of Venom, I cannot wait to see how that is handled. And given how Venom is my most favorite Spider-Man villain of all time, I have extremely high expectations for how Insomniac is going to handle that character. But until next time, true believers, thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans. Peace out.
I will find a cure.
I'm sorry, you gotta watch this because this is just godly to me.
I love you, son.
And on top of that, one more thing I forgot to mention. Look at how green it is right here. So they have to be teasing that Norman's gonna become the Green Goblin hella sooner than later. Because if you guys have played it, look very, very close to the lighting. It's obvious for the fact that Insomniac knew what they were doing right here, because everything around Harry and everything around Norman is green.
I will.
So that more than likely would have teased that he's going to become the Goblin very, very soon.
I love you, son.
That had to have teased why the Goblin's going to be at least insanely and crazy powerful. That literally had to have teased that the Goblin's going to be hella powerful. Alright, let's take a look at Caboose. Let's take a look at my boy Caboose. We gotta take a look at my boy Caboose real quick. See, ooh. They're playable. Top 5 villains that we need. We already took a look at that. Gotham Knights. I'm excited. I can't wait for the gameplay, bro. The gameplay's gonna be crazy. What the fuck? Okay. No. All right, let's take a look at Comic Blast Keenan. Let's see what he has going. We haven't taken a look at Comic Blast Keenan for a while, bro. I think we looked at it yesterday. Let's see. So every rumor, I think we already seen this. I want to see the suit video, but we'll probably do that next live stream. Let's take a look at this one right here.
Could there be another Sinister Six in Marvel Spider-Man 2? Should there be one? And if there was one, what would that lineup of villains look like? These are the questions I intend on answering in today's video. What's up everyone, Comic Blast Keenan here to bring you another Marvel Spider-Man 2 video. If you don't know already, Marvel Spider-Man is my passion, and I pretty much only cover Marvel Spider-Man 2 content on my channel. So if that sounds good to you, be sure to subscribe to keep up with all of the hype for the game. So Spider-Man PS4 did something pretty bold by giving us a Sinister Six right out of the gate for Insomniac's first Spider-Man game. The introduction to the Sinister Six didn't feel too rushed or thrown into the story just for the heck of it. Spider-Man had already had a history with each of these villains, so it wasn't absolutely necessary to try to set up each and every one of these
characters. If you guys saw my live stream for this game, I was fanboying so hard whenever I saw them.
I felt like the Sinister Six in Spider-Man PS4 had the right amount of screen and play time to fit right into the narrative we got. My only small complaint is that we didn't get to face all of the villains all at once. Instead, we experienced that fight through a pretty cool cutscene. While it was pretty fun to watch, I still wish we had an opportunity to face all of those villains together. But that's really my only minor complaint with the Sinister Six in the first game. When it comes to possibly seeing a new Sinister Six within Insomniac,
I just realized Spider-Man was probably like humana 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 humana.
universe, I'm all for it. I would love to see a brand new lineup of villains to face with the help of Miles Morales this time.
Ooh,
however,
that would be good.
I do not wish to see
that would be so good too, because for those who don't know, Miles literally beat Electro by himself.
See the Sinister Six in Marvel Spider-Man 2. I know, gasp. But I feel like seeing a Sinister Six this time would definitely feel a little bit more rushed and forced, and it could possibly make this story a little bloated. I want the symbiote storyline to really be focused on Peter, Harry/Venom, Miles, and Kraven. The symbiote storyline is a really big one, and it needs to be done correctly and should be completely focused on the symbiote. If the Sinister Six were to be introduced again, it would feel a little bit too soon in my opinion, and done just for spectacle. Instead, I would love to see a Sinister Six done later down the line, possibly in the third Spider-Man game. But this time, it would be with developed villains that we as the player have experienced playing against. So let's say that we do get another Sinister Six a few years from now. What would that lineup look like? Well, if we were to get another Sinister Six in the third Spider-Man game, then I think that the leader of this villainous squad would have to be Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin.
Oh yeah. That's 100%. He's gonna have to be the leader.
Insomniac has been setting up Norman Osborn as Green Goblin ever since Spider-Man PS4, and he will inevitably be the big villain of the third game. But next up, I would like to see Doc Ock make a return. I know. In what world would Norman and Otto work together? Well, in this case, it could be a situation where the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Given that both Norman and Otto will have a personal vendetta against Spider-Man, it could make sense that they would both set aside their hate for each other, even if it is
just to fight Spider-Man. I see where he's going.
Only temporary, to seek out vengeance against Spider-Man. I'd also like to see Kraven.
Oh, and that would also be good too, because think about it. Ock knows Spider-Man's identity. Ock knows that Spider-Man is Peter Parker. Ock could tell everybody in Sinister Six that he is. Ock could tell everybody in Sinister Six his real name. Meaning that all of them would probably go after Miles, MJ. Anyone Spider-Man's ever met. Yuri, who probably at the point in the game now is Wraith, so she would probably be an anti-hero and probably help him. But with the black suit on, if they actually do the black suit only come into Marvel Spider-Man 2, but if they keep it until 3, that would be a crazy way to end off the series, to end off the show. It would be crazy.
Six. He is going to be a relatively new villain to this universe, but my hope is that he's not a one and done villain in Marvel Spider-Man 2. Kraven is just way too cool of a character to only use once.
Exactly.
Kraven has been featured in so many Sinister Six lineups in the comics. I feel like him, Green Goblin, and Doc Ock would definitely make the big three of the six on the team.
Yeah.
In addition to Kraven, Green Goblin, and Doc Ock, I would love to see Sandman be a part of the next Sinister Six lineup.
The fights with the fights with the Sandman are gonna be like, because think about it, Spider-Man's not gonna remember how to beat him, so he's probably just sitting there like, there's only like 3 ways to defeat Sandman. There's only 2 ways that he can beat Sandman. You have to turn him into marble, I think that's what it's called. I don't know, but it has to be marble, water. Well, technically not water anymore, because sheesh, you guys saw Spider-Man 3 and the way he came back. That'd be a crazy way for a fight.
The Sandman has been teased in Spider-Man PS4, or I should say it's been established that Spider-Man has a past with him in this universe already. And
the amount of jokes that are going to be cracked. Flip Marco.
I would love to see him for myself in more than just little Easter eggs here and there. Imagine how amazing Sandman would look on the PS5. Rendering all of those sand particles would just look incredible, and I would love to see it. Next up, I'd love to see Mysterio added to the Sinister Six in my little scenario that I'm building.
I would love to see Mysterio.
I absolutely love Mysterio, and I have some pretty high hopes that he'll be in Marvel Spider-Man 2 in some sort of role. I'd love to see Mysterio
that would be great, because Spider-Man would have to use misdirection.
Actually be in the opening mission for the game, but that's besides the point. Mysterio is such a cool character and has been in a large number of the Sinister Six lineups in the comics. It may be a little bit of a selfish pick for me, but I love Mysterio, and yeah, I just would love to see him in the next Sinister Six in Insomniac's universe. And lastly, I think Lizard would make a good pick for the
Lizard 100%. He's been in like so many lineups to the point where nobody doesn't know anymore.
Final spot on the Sinister Six roster. Lizard already has a history with Insomniac Spider-Man and is currently working for Norman Osborn, so the connection is already there.
Yeah.
So that is my lineup that I would like to see for Insomniac if they decided to do another version of the Sinister Six and really build it up. I feel like it's definitely going to happen again, but the second game might be...
now I'm thinking about it, I just saw what he just said. I'm not thinking about what he just said. Half the villains that he named were pretty much in No Way Home. So probably like, you know, in this universe, in Insomniac universe, so sort of like a Insomniac Marvel, so pretty much an Insomniac Spider-Man universe multiversal variant Sinister Six, I guess.
A little too soon. Who knows though? Anything is really possible. But that's going to do it for this video. Before I let you go, I'd love to hear your opinion on 2 questions. Do you think we will see another Sinister Six in the Marvel Spider-Man universe? And what would your Sinister Six lineup look like? But that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.
I would love to see a Sinister Six around that. Other thing I would love to see is probably, you know, the black suit Spider-Man, or while he has the black suit on, making like rational choices like he did in Spectacular Spider-Man. I'm gonna show you guys a scene from Spectacular Spider-Man, and I want you guys to know that whenever he had the black suit on, that would have been a hold up. We're actually gonna play the scene because I love this scene a lot. This is the part where this is like from Spectacular Spider-Man whenever the black suit does. So like so what if Insomniac does this? Say like while Peter's sleeping, right? And the symbiote takes control of Peter while he's sleeping. Let's take a look at this.
The escaped convicts have left Times Square and have now taken hostages at the Metro Bank near
He's sleeping and the symbiote takes him over. And he just instantly, and keep in mind, Peter is sleeping during this. What if they do this scene?
Park.
He's back, boys!
What if they do like a reference to this scene? You think Sandman's gonna be in there? Yeah, 100%. Like, what if they do this scene? This scene was just so iconic.
Yes, some folk.
Because remember, during remember, during this, if they do this, remember, during this, he is sleeping. So while Peter's sleeping, the black suit is literally in control, and the symbiote is legit 100% in control of him while he's knocked out.
Too dumb to live. Rhino, you won the coin toss. Will you crush his skull or simply impale his heart on your horn?
Ooh, impale. Impale sounds good. What's the matter, web creep? Too scared to crack a last joke?
Ooh, that's something I'm gonna tell you about too. Powers with the symbiote. This right here would be so good if he ever got all of his limbs, you know, just randomly, just, you know, he can't do anything without him, right?
Joke.
Right here. The symbiote's gonna have to bring him a lot more powers and shit, right? Armpit webs. The symbiote's gonna have, because the thing is, the symbiote's job is to defend the host. So while Peter probably has on, the symbiote's gonna be protecting him, because the number one job of the symbiote is to protect the host.
I'll finish him.
This scene was just so incredible, and he's sleeping while doing this shit too.
I'm gonna fry you for that, freak.
Like, look at this. He's not even using his spider sense. He's not even using his spider sense. He's just going off of, like, pure just looking around and analyzing. On top of that, amplified the super strength right there as well. Like, look at how beautiful that scene is, bro. Like, it would be beautiful if Insomniac did that. Like, it would be beautiful if Insomniac did that. It would be beautiful. Like, that would be so beautiful. Alright, so next thing I'm going to show you guys is coming from that as well, but this scene right here pretty much just amplifies, like I said, all of his rage and stuff like that. So remember, he's sleeping during all of this. Just imagine if we get a fight or something along the sort where, like, say like he's fighting like a villain or whoever he's fighting, right? Like, say like if he's fighting like a big bad, right? Let's say that he's fighting like a big bad, right? Or for the fact that, like, what if the longer he wears the suit, the longer the spider becomes? Like, the longer he wears a suit, the longer the spider becomes. So, like, it could take over, like, so, like, the more you wear the suit, the more it takes over, the more the spider on the black suit can, you know, go around. It can make it bigger and stuff like that. Like, if you pay close attention to the way the spider looks right here, like, pay close attention to the spider. I can't catch. Okay, it's right here. Like, say like the longer he wears it, the larger the spider and the wider the spider becomes, right? To the point where he can go around to the back. Like, look at the way that his suit looks right here. So here's my guess is, what if Insomniac automatically just does, hey, let's go ahead and just make sure that the black suit is legit on him permanently, or like something along the sort. And after that, somewhere like towards the middle or like near the end of the game, you decide to take it off. Or you decide to take it off.
Dodge this!
I knew you were finally getting serious when you stopped cracking your pathetic little jokes.
Other things for the fact, like, he doesn't crack any jokes, so that's gonna be an amazing way. He's gonna start cracking, you know, violent, crazy jokes.
Just as I knew you would expend your energies fighting my allies.
Another thing about that, you guys see the eyes? You guys see the eyes too? What if they do this while you have the black suit on? What if they do this? Like what if they do that? Like, look right here.
I knew you would expend your
What if they do that?
energies fighting my allies, leaving you open for Dr. Octopus to deliver the coup de grace. Now, I do believe we promised Rhino an impalement.
Get him off.
Like, look at that, bro. Another thing is for a fact, like, with the suit, he doesn't even have to, like, because normally, like, a suit would get ripped up.
Apologies, Rhino.
Look at the way that it just completely just acts and repairs itself, bro.
Your new suit
Look at that. It just automatically repairs itself.
interests me, Arachnid. I'm going to enjoy peeling it away for further study.
Boom. Look at what he's gonna do right here.
He's gonna.
What if we get a scene or a reference to this where he's about to kill someone, and then out of nowhere, another thing I want to talk about is, what if George Stacy is going to be in the game? That's another thing. What if George Stacy is in the game? Because we already have a reference to Gwen being in that universe, to being in the game. What if her dad's in there too and is a captain of police?
Over.
Our new smoke.
That would be such a good way to introduce these two, bro. That would be such a good way to introduce Gwen and George Stacy. That'd be such an interesting way to introduce them. That would be such an amazing way to introduce them.
Guess I found Luz. Or it found me. Ugh, face. Lost my oldest friend. Really have to get that woman a cell phone. Asleep for. You. Nothing else matters. Off, Brock. Permanently. When?
Or can anyone? But not.
You must be seriously wrong.
I can't even see.
Ooh, another thing is for a fact, like, what if it starts referring to we instead of I? Like, pay close attention right here.
Okay, if Flash Thompson is making sense, something must be seriously wrong. Why did I blow off my...
See, look at how big the spider is right here. What if he wears the black suit so long to the point where the spider ends up getting like this? Or like some sort of weight like this?
Friends. MJ, Liz, and Gwen. She's always been there for us since the 7th grade. And what about the battle with the Sinister Six? The one that we...
See, look. Us. He's referring it to we instead of I. The symbiote loves Peter.
Or the fact that we keep thinking we
instead of I. For the fact that we keep thinking that we is I.
It's the symbiote. It's changing me. It's taking over my life. I have to get it off. Stop, Pete. Come on. You're overreacting. The suit, the symbiote, it's made life.
He starts contemplating with the suit.
And there's no one else we need. Not MJ, not Gwen.
Not even Aunt May?
Not even Aunt
Those
May.
weren't my thoughts.
Wait, we need each other. Stop.
No, move your ooze.
We will not allow.
Will not allow.
Oh, the vibrations, you don't like them.
See, another weakness is noise.
No. Would you not
Like, they're gonna have to make sure that Peter comes to their senses for the black suit to work, or at least get to Harry.
like the vibrations? They are
They are
unpleasant, but not enough to destroy our bond.
We'll see about that. Hey, I can't move.
In anger, you sought to hurt us. Instead, you've made us stronger. We shall demonstrate.
Yep.
No, what's happening?
If
Stop.
they add this scene, I'm gonna be fucking tripping.
Please, stop.
If they had like some form of this, I'm gonna be tripping. Or if they had Toby's, I'm gonna be sitting there just like, bruh. I like how they skipped over the scene where the symbiote was about to take him over too.
That's what you're in for, Rumi. Sure you don't want to vacate?
Vacate? Where do you think we are?
Where do you think we are?
We have taken root in Peter Parker. Mind, body, and soul. Why bother struggling? There's no place you can hide.
Yep.
Boy's got no need to hide.
If they add this, I'm gonna be tripping. Another thing they should add is probably a spectacular Spider-Man suit, because I love the way the suit is.
I'm stronger than you think. Now, Mudstain, shall we dance?
But I apologize if there is legit no Spider-Man or Spectacular Spider-Man audio. I don't know why. And after that, it just turns into it. And at this point, if they do that scene, if they do this scene, they're gonna have to animate this so well.
Thanks, Uncle Ben. Anytime, kiddo.
Another thing I was gonna say is that what if we get a flashback to Uncle Ben, right?
I'm always here.
If we get a flashback to Uncle Ben, that's gonna be the best thing.
Over. You will be ours. Don't think so, symbiote.
Don't think so,
I know what you are now and what you need. You feed on negative emotions. Well, right now, I'm starving you out. Stop. Don't do this. We only want to be with you. Help you. Sorry, Cindy. I know this must hurt.
But we're just so good together.
Consider yourself
dumped. That would be so good if they added that scene, bruh. That would be so good. I would be fanboying like crazy. Like, I would be fanboying like crazy. Like, I would be fucking tripping. Another scene that they could also add, obviously he's referring to we instead of I. What if we somehow in some way get an introduction to Black Cat or something? Ooh, I saw another one too. What if we get what if we top 5 worst story moments of Marvel. Nah. One thing I do want to look at is what if it's gonna be cross-gen. This is the one that I want to see.
The Spider.
I want to see if it's gonna be cross-gen. Just give me 1 second, chat. Got this. Let's see if it's gonna be cross-gen. I want to see if it actually is gonna be cross-gen.
Spider-Man sequel is likely to be revealed at Sony's next PS5 event. The big question is, should it also get a cross-gen release on PS4? The new generation consoles launched last November, and of course everybody's looking forward to next-gen only games that can reflect the power and the capabilities of these new consoles. And whilst there have been some next-gen only exclusives, including Demon's Souls and Godfall, what people really want are games that are impossible to run on older hardware. In this video, I will explore the business and technical reasons for making a game cross-generational, and whether because of this Spider-Man 2 should be PS5 only.
The thing is, for the fact that it's really hard to get a PS5 still.
Or also get a PS4 release. So make sure you stay to the end as I give you my shocking verdict. So of course the reason you buy a new games console is because you want to experience new, better, more powerful games. But recently there has been a controversy with regards to games that were announced for the PS5, in that they are also going to be available for the PS4. And it raises the question on whether these games are not as good as they could have been.
Showtime.
I mean, yeah, Miles Morales was on both.
Is that all?
The head of PlayStation Studios, Herman Hulst, recently revealed that the God of War sequel and Gran Turismo 7 would not be PS5 exclusive, but would also be released on PS4. And there was some surprise about this and some anger, because in the case of GT7, that had actually had an advertisement where it specifically...
I understand why certain people are angry about this, bro, but it's like, you have to understand, some people cannot find a PS5.
Said it was a PS5 exclusive. So essentially there's three real reasons for this happening. The first is financial, and this is down to ultimately the pandemic. This has led to greater use of computers and computer equipment. It's also had a knock-on effect of meaning there is a component shortage. So Sony can't make enough PS5s to get into the stores to be able to have a big enough install base to be able to sell the amount of games it had forecast for each of these big releases. So it needs to be able to still sell a high number of games, and the way it can do this is by offering the games now to PS4 owners, many who would be left behind who would not otherwise be able to join in these new experiences. One of the other main reasons that Sony is doing this is to support user-based migration to the PS5. Not every PS4 owner is an early adopter. Some choose not to be, some can't afford to be. But what Sony needs to do is be able to support them with games. And part of this process is making sure that they can have games which will also be playable on PS5 once they upgrade. And this is really important because one of the big mistakes that Microsoft...
And on top of that, to mention, with some of the PS4 games that you're getting nowadays, they literally say free PS5 upgrade if you put into a PS5.
made when moving between the Xbox 360 generation to the Xbox One was that it lost a huge chunk of its install base as they migrated to the PS4, and this is a mistake that Sony is trying to learn from. It's got this massive, incredible 110 million user base install base, and it needs to try and help them move to the PS5, and the best way to do this is to sell them games, offer them games that work on the PS4, and then Sony can say if you buy these games they will also be available on your new PS5 once you get one, and these games will be improved and better and more enjoyable. So it's a great method not to lose the people that Sony already has as customers. The most important factor with some of these games is the production start time. The truth is, many of these cross-gen games were started years before PS5 hardware was available, let alone when it was finalized. Last year, the Sucker Punch team, whilst they were completing Ghost of Tsushima, the director said they never even had the PS5 hardware. Brian Fleming, who is the co-founder and producer of Ghost, in July 2020 he said, if you're going to be one of the final big titles on a console, you're kind of necessarily one of the trailing groups getting onto the next hardware, and that's kind of where we are. So the meaning of this is that Sony would not have prioritized them to get them PS5 hardware because they weren't making a game for PS5 hardware, it was for the PS4. So if in 2020 it wasn't getting PS5 hardware, the games that were started earlier, they certainly weren't going to be built for PS5s. So Horizon Zero Dawn, that was released in February 2017, the new game would have likely started shortly after. God of War was released April 2018, and Spider-Man in September 2018.
Yeah.
So certainly they would have got straight to work on the sequels, and at that time they wouldn't have been getting PS5 hardware. Of course, many games are made targeting future hardware, but as the first Spider-Man game was released just months after God of War, we can assume its sequel would have the same development time and be targeting the same level of hardware. And what we can understand from these dates is that the next-gen versions would not have been held back because they were likely always going to be intended to be a current-gen version. And Colin Moriarty, the veteran PlayStation reporter and podcaster, he said the sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, it was always intended to be a PS4 game, and then it was scaled up to work on PS5. And this is from apparently his insider source.
It would make sense if they were to make both, because the thing is, for back that there's a PS5 one, and for anybody that had a PS4 could also get it. Seeing as that it's working in literally two ways. Obviously, you guys know for me, I literally don't mind, you know, anything, but hey. But basically, if it's for PS4, it can work for PS5. There's literally an upgrade right there.
So we can take this as an example of what's likely been happening behind the scenes. These games that have been in the works for PS4, Sony has understand the need to be able to then easily translate them, upgrade them, and produce a PS5 version as well. In fact, the Horizon Forbidden West game director, he specifically said, I don't think the cross-generation development was limited in any way. When we started with the concept of this game, we had so many great ideas that ended up being included, to the point that we really didn't think about hardware limitations or anything. We just wanted to design a really nice, unique experience for the player. So these games were started before the PS5 hardware was completed, before the specification was probably locked down even. So these games perhaps didn't have their ambition scaled back, as they were always intended for last gen.
That means scaled. I just want to see the part where I'm just curious about it.
When advertising on YouTube, I know that making an authentic video with a clear call to action is the key to getting results.
But supporting last gen isn't always going to be productive. There are also some bad sides. Last generation hardware was released in 2015. It's been worked on by Insomniac, but more importantly than that, back in 2018, when the original game was released, the game director, Brian Intihar, he was asked about the non-appearance of the Black Spider-Man costume in the game. And this is what he said.
I think that something like that suit deserves its day in the spotlight. And I think just making it a unlockable suit wouldn't be doing it justice. It's one of the best stories for Spider-Man. Yeah. And I think that it's a complex story. I think that that story needs to be told, and needs to be told in the way that Insomniac would tell it.
And of course, the story of the suit, the symbiote, and what happens with it is ultimately Venom's story, my namesake. So it looks like that's what's going to be dominating the whole storyline. But in terms of gameplay, of course it's going to have support for the PS5's DualSense. Of course there will be support for the 3D audio, bells and whistles. But what could the actual game look like, play like? And this is the big question. So in 2019, a Wall Street journalist leaked Sony footage of how Spider-Man could run on next-gen hardware. And this leak showed an internal video of Sony's which compared Spider-Man running on PS4 Pro to Spider-Man running on its next-generation hardware with an SSD. So you see on the PS4 Pro, he swings through buildings and he's swinging at normal speed, it looks fine. And then with the SSD, what you can see, the SSD running on the PS5, you see Spider-Man swinging so much faster at a phenomenal speed in fact. So anybody who's played the original Spider-Man and Miles Morales, I don't think there's going to be any complaints from anyone saying that the swinging was too slow, because it ran fine. You've got a great sensation, it's one of the best parts of the game, this mechanic to allow you to swing through the buildings, because it feels fantastic. So on one hand, you know, you may ask yourself, well, why do you need to swing that fast? It just seems too fast. But perhaps that will be a part of the game. Maybe there will be super fast swinging, maybe you'll be chasing some element that is traveling at speed, a fast aeroplane, or a person on a jet, or the Green Goblin. So the inclusion of the SSD on the PS5 can mean that there will be more dynamic, faster moving traversal, faster moving combat. So we all know what the Spider-Man gameplay is like. At its core, it's two elements, swinging through a city and fighting enemies. And I'll be honest with you, this doesn't require advanced hardware. Besides there being a 3D Spider-Man on PS5, on PS4, on PS3, on PS2, there was even a 3D Spider-Man game on PS1. In theory, you could make a Miles Morales D-Make and it would run on PS1. It would have the same gameplay. Yes, Miles Morales running on PS5 would be so much prettier when compared to a D-Make, you know, faster movement, open spaces, all these set pieces like on the bridge, but the gameplay mechanic at its core is the same. So on one half there is the assumption that the gameplay will remain the same, will just be a palette swap, perhaps a new map, perhaps a new enemy and a new story. But for a big game like this, Spider-Man, the 2018 version, has been Sony's biggest selling first party game on PS4. So for a game that has got this massive potential to outsell the original, Insomniac are going to want to switch it up a bit and raise the bar. So yes, maybe it will be in a new city, but what have Insomniac learned from Ratchet & Clank? Perhaps there's an alien element to it. With the symbiote story, maybe Spider-Man will be taken out of an urban city landscape, so you can travel to an alien homeworld. Or maybe you'll get to play as Peter Parker being led by the symbiote, or maybe you'll even get to play as Venom, so you can see Eddie Brock's story as well. But I would imagine that the core gameplay experience is still going to be swinging through a city. And whilst I'm as eager to play the next gen only games as anybody else, with all the Sony games that are getting a cross-gen release such as Horizon Forbidden West, the God of War sequel, Gran Turismo 7 and even Spider-Man, the gameplay in the Spider-Man sequel is going to be the least likely to be compromised. So it does make perfect sense for it to get a cross-gen release on PS4, especially if this is released at the tail end of 2022 or 2023. And I get it, I do get it, that some people are understandably going to be disappointed by this, but judging by the gameplay and judging by the time it's likely to be released, I do think, and I hope you can see it too, that it makes sense that it is a cross-gen game. Although I do hope that this will be the very last of the big Sony exclusives to do this. So, do you think the next
Honestly, I think it should. Because the thing is, a lot of people played Spider-Man and they wanted to be cross-gen. March 2023. Alright, let's check this one out.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Stardust here. Welcome back to another video here on the YouTube channel. And today we are going through some Marvel Spider-Man 2 leaks. Now, before we get into
make sure you guys like the stream and make sure you go ahead and hit the subscribe button.
I am obviously not well. I've been having cough sweets all morning. I am pretty down in the dumps. So, if you did like this video, make sure to give it a like, make sure to share it around. I'd love to get 1,000 views on a Marvel Spider-Man video. That would be absolutely phenomenal. So let's hope we could do that right here. And as always, before we get into any leaks, there is such a solid chance these aren't real. I'm not going into these, you know, as saying they're 100% going to happen, but they also could spawn ideas and they can spawn good conversation in the comments, so I still like covering them regardless. So let's go through it. So this is on gamestoday.info. Now, I did a video about this, about like, you know, playable characters and stuff like that. And so check that video out where I talk about playing as Wraith, Yuri, to kind of get like an idea of what this is. But basically, long story short, you would play as both characters. They each have their own outfits, and you know, there'll be different parts of the story where you're required to play one or the other. Do you know what I mean? Venom will not be a playable character. However, Peter will don the black suit at some point in the game. I think that was pretty obvious. I think people kind of expected that.
Yeah.
To be told. Obviously alongside Craven, but you know, of course, by the trailers you would have known that already. Venom will eventually leave Peter in favour of a stronger, better match at some point in the game. I don't want to say who they are though. I mean, they're probably pointing towards Eddie Brock. I said this on the podcast with Evan Falaka, that...
I mean, then again, he's in the game, so they would have no other choice but to put Eddie Brock in there.
I don't see the point in Eddie Brock at all. It will make no sense. Yeah, like, it would be so shoehorned in, it wouldn't even be funny. You know, like, unless they change Eddie's character entirely, I just don't think they've got enough time to establish it with Eddie Brock. So, Peter's Iron Spider, like mechanical spider arms, will feel a lot more like you're controlling the arms, rather than they're just attached to you. Unlike the Iron Spider arms from the first game, the new mechanical arms will also be completely made by Peter. Now, I don't know what this means. I don't know whether it's got, like, I don't know, you press the button a certain way, then the left arm hits, and then the right arm to but it does make sense for the mechanical arms to be made by Peter. Apparently, the mechanical arms are supposed to be combating the symbiote, because the symbiote Spider-Man outfit...
That's gonna be... Oh my gosh. That's gonna be...
supposed to, like, grow some arms, so that could be what sort of spawns Peter to want to do that. Finally, for the big reveals, the map is a lot bigger, including a lot more areas from NYC. Get ready to swing in a massive open environment. You'll feel like you're in New York City, swinging on buildings as Spider-Man. I definitely think that that's important. I mean, as much as everyone loves the first game's map, and I can definitely understand why, because I do as well. I totally sort of feel that, like, the map eventually gets kind of too small. I guess once you've played it for a while, you start sort of seeing the same areas and that. So that'll be fun. Now for some less exciting stuff, but well-needed upgrades from the first game. Wall crawling has been improved. No more getting stuck on geometry. It's also been made moderately faster too. You also now have the options of wall crawl even faster with the mechanical arms while playing as Peter.
Oh,
you
thank
can
God.
also stand up buildings with the aid of the mechanical arms while playing as Peter as well. Now, I understand why they've gone with the mechanical arms for Peter, because it differentiates between him and Miles. Because when you really think about it, Miles has got, like, the camouflage, he's got the venom blast. So, giving something to Peter to make him kind of, like, equal grounding, you know, I get it, right? You know, it makes sense. Peter now has more air trick options.
The thing is, Miles Spider had more than what Peter Spider had.
I don't really see why the mechanical arms will advance his air tricks, just gonna be honest. Both characters also have new access to ground tricks, one of my favourite being web skating on the back of driving vehicles. I can see them doing that. I think that would be really sweet. Maybe, you know, you get higher points the longer you're able to do it without bumping into anything. Obviously, this is a new, bigger game, so all the animations have been refined, and there are also new animations too. There's also some more gadgets for both Peter and Miles to use. New web abilities have been added for both characters, and new enemy types to use them on have also been added. That seems a bit of an obvious one. I don't think that necessarily, you know, could even be classed as a leak. I'm pretty sure everyone and their mum could have guessed that would have been the case. But this one's kind of interesting, and one that I'd like to touch up on in a video one day. Bosses are more strategy based rather than pattern based. Every time you land a few hits on each boss, they will switch up their ways, and there's something
that is the most interesting one
special you need to do to get hits on them again. Look, I'm gonna be honest, the bosses in Marvel Spider-Man were kind of bad, in my opinion. I think that I liked the Vulture and Electro one a bit, but it was still pretty much like, you know, do this 3 times and it's done. I definitely think the bosses lacked variation, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do in Marvel Spider-Man 2 to improve that greatly. Obviously, it was kind of similar in Miles, but, you know, it felt kind of different. Like, the boss fight with Finn was a lot more entertaining, because she was genuinely actually at points quite, not difficult, but she definitely packed a bit of a punch. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is the leaks for Marvel Spider-Man in a nutshell. I do believe that's everything we've actually had so far.
Another thing, they need to make ultimate difficulty a lot more harder. They need to make ultimate difficulty a little bit more harder, because the ultimate difficulty in Marvel Spider-Man 1, that one was not hard at all, but it was just kind of there. Like, I have the trophy. I was in 8% of players. I'm letting you know, I was in 8% of players who completed on New Game Plus and who did a New Game Plus on Ultimate. They need to make the ultimate difficulty way more, well, not way more challenging, because I don't want to say don't do it, but make it a little bit more challenging. Like, make like certain bosses a little bit more challenging. 100% make Venom a little bit more of a challenge. Like, we're gonna have to use a lot more and more and more and more and more, and we're gonna have to level up our stuff a lot more. So like, make that fight a little bit more. So like, so basically what I'm saying is that if you beat the game on whatever difficulty you beat it on, that's gonna unlock ultimate difficulty, and from there, ultimate difficulty needs to be way more difficult than that. But yeah, if they make ultimate difficulty way more difficult, I wouldn't blame it. I wouldn't blame it if they made ultimate difficulty a little bit more challenging. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna go ahead. Oh, and by the way, I also dropped a video. I'm dropping a video today. As you guys can tell, I'm dropping another video today as well. Obviously, we played Tomb Raider yesterday. Obviously, you guys saw. You guys supported the Tomb Raider live stream and stuff like that. So we're playing some more Tomb Raider today. And this video is obviously going up very, very soon. This video is about to drop very, very soon. So everybody, go ahead and check these two videos out. Everybody, go and check these two videos out. And other than that, if you guys haven't, go ahead and smash that like button on the live stream. And I'll see you guys later. They stream into live streams as well. And other than that, I'll see you guys later. Love you guys. Stay safe. Spider senses are out. I don't help my boy Peter over here. He's trying to build some new web tech. And I'll see you guys later. Love you guys. Peace out.